Okay, think about those moments, those split seconds when things almost, go sideways,
Hmm.
like you drop a glass but somehow catch it, or that car that swerves but you brake just in time.
Yeah, those heart-stopping moments.
Exactly, those close calls, near misses. We
Yes.
usually just kind of breathe a sigh of relief and forget about it.
Yeah.
But what if those moments, the ones where nothing actually bad happened, hold really valuable clues?
That's exactly what we're digging into today, and you've brought together a couple of really interesting angles on this.
Right.
We've got this piece, 35 common near-miss examples in the workplace, which gives us that very sort of practical, on-the-ground view.
Yeah, the everyday stuff.
And then there's the top 10 averted tragedies and near misses from Listverse, which, wow, some of those are pretty out there, really extraordinary situations.
Totally different scale sometimes.
Yeah.
So our mission here really is to figure out why these near misses actually matter. It's not just about, lucking out.
Mm.
It's about what these incidents, these almost incidents, tell us about the risks floating around and how spotting them, understanding them, can genuinely help prevent real harm at work or just, well, anywhere.
Learning from what nearly went wrong to make things safer makes sense.
So where should we start? Maybe the workplace one first? Seems more structured.
Yeah, let's do that. The 35 examples article kicks off with a definition of a near miss. What did you think was the key takeaway there?
Okay, so the big thing for me was this idea that a near miss is when harm, like getting hurt, sick, or even major property damage could have happened.
Right, the potential is there.
Yeah. The article says it was just a tiny shift in circumstances, like a split-second difference, that stopped it from being an actual accident. It wasn't no danger. It was just lucky timing, maybe.
Exactly. The potential for harm is the critical bit, even if nothing bad actually resulted. But the article also mentions something important they often don't get reported. Why do you think that is?
Hmm. Well, I think maybe a few things are going on. Like the article suggests, sometimes maybe people don't even realize it was a near miss. You stumble, you catch yourself, you think, oops, clumsy, not, hey, that loose tile is dangerous.
Yeah, you just brush it off.
Right. Then there's probably like a fear factor, worrying about blame or paperwork or getting someone else in trouble.
The blame culture thing.
And honestly, sometimes reporting stuff just feels like a massive hassle, right?
Right.
Too much paperwork when you're busy.
That's a really good point. If the system's clunky, forget it. Which is why those specific examples they list are so useful. They make it real. Like slips, trips, and falls. Super common stuff. What examples did they give there?
Oh man, loads. Almost slipping on a wet floor because there was no sign. Uh, Tripping over boxes left in a walkway, loose carpet edges, spills someone just cleaned up.
Everyday hazards.
Totally. Even things like an open manhole cover hidden in shadow, or a burnt-out light bulb on the stairs, or, that near miss on icy pavement we've all had. Small things, potentially big consequences.
And what's interesting is how many of those point back to, like, basic safety failures, isn't it? Signs, keeping things tidy, maintenance. Simple stuff, but needs doing consistently.
For sure. Then it moves on to machinery and equipment.
Mhm.
That feels like a step up in potential danger.
Definitely. What kind of near misses did they highlight there?
Okay, so things like someone noticing a safety guard was missing before turning on the machine, finding a power tool with frayed wires before plugging it in, almost starting a machine while someone was doing maintenance on it. Yikes.
Yeah, that's a classic lockout, tagout failure waiting to happen.
Right, and detecting a gas leak just in time, conveyor belts starting unexpectedly, a reversing alarm on a truck not working, and someone having to physically yell or stop it. Oh, and a forklift driver spotting a hydraulic leak that could prevent a crash and a big mess.
It really hammers home how vital those pre-use checks and regular maintenance are, doesn't it? A small fault can become catastrophic really fast.
Absolutely. Okay, next category. Working at heights, always risky.
Always. What near misses came up there?
These ones make you feel a bit queasy. Imagine a scaffolding plank starting to give way under you. Or finding a defect in your safety harness before you lean back in it.
Oh, wow. Talk about a close call.
Yeah. Or ladder slipping but being caught. Nearly stepping off an unguarded roof edge. Dropping a tool from up high, but luckily it didn't hit anyone below. Or a temporary guardrail getting knocked loose, but someone sees it before leaning on it.
It just shows, with heights, you need absolutely reliable gear and zero complacency. The margin for error is tiny.
So true. Okay, moving on. Chemical handling and storage.
Right, hidden dangers potentially. What examples there?
This is about stuff like chemical spills that got contained quickly. Someone almost mixing incompatible chemicals could have been a nasty reaction. Finding gas cylinders leaking.
Oof.
Almost using the wrong gloves or mask wrong PPE for the job,
Yeah.
finding reactive stuff stored at the wrong temperature, or a lab experiment overheating but getting it under control just in time.
It really highlights the need for good training, clear labels, and just following the procedures to the letter, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That attention to detail is crucial. Next up was signage and communication failures. This seems linked to other stuff too.
How so? What were the examples?
Well, think about forklifts nearly hitting each other because the signs are wrong or missing in a warehouse. Or temporary electrical work not being marked clearly. Someone nearly starting a machine that's being fixed because there wasn't a clear do not operate tag.
The communication breakdown again.
Exactly. Or materials almost dropped on someone because the workers above didn't communicate that they were working overhead. Even new equipment arriving without the right hazard stickers, leading to someone using it unsafely. It's all about clear information flow.
It really shows how safety systems are interconnected. One weak link, like communication, can mess everything else up.
Yep. And the last workplace category they mentioned is risky behavior and horseplay.
The human element. What falls under that?
This is more about individual choices, I guess. Like someone jumping off the back of a truck instead of using steps. Climbing up shelving units like a ladder. Trying to keep working up high even when super tired and maybe less focused.
Yeah, fatigue is a major risk factor.
Or even just messing around, shoving someone near moving machinery and almost causing an accident. It often comes down to bad judgment or taking shortcuts.
It underlines that need for a strong safety culture where that stuff just isn't okay.
Exactly. So putting all these examples together, the article really pushes this idea. Why is reporting this stuff so important? We know why people don't report, but what's the upside?
Well, fundamentally, near misses are warning signs.
Right.
Little red flags saying something's not quite right here and it could get worse.
Early warnings, yeah.
Reporting them gives you a chance to fix the underlying problem before it causes a real injury or damage. And it helps spot patterns. If you keep getting near misses with, say, ladders slipping, that points to a systemic issue.
Like maybe the training is bad or the ladders themselves are faulty.
Precisely. And, crucially, when employees report things and actually see action being taken, it builds trust. They feel safer, more involved. The article even mentions, I think in the UK, red door. Some near misses actually have to be reported legally.
Right, it's not just good practice, sometimes it's the law.
Mhm.
Okay, so if reporting is key, how do we learn from them? The article talks about prevention. Training and education was first.
Yeah, and the emphasis was on making it more than just ticking a box. Training needs to teach people to actually see the hazards in their environment.
Not just listen to a lecture.
Right. Understand the why behind safety rules, PPE, emergency steps, safe operation, and making sure everyone gets what a near miss is and why reporting it helps everyone. They mentioned using like interactive stuff, workshops, simulations.
Yeah, things that make it stick, not just in one ear and out the other.
Active learning. Then there's open communication. How does that help prevent things?
It's all about that trust again. Creating an atmosphere where people feel genuinely okay speaking up about hazards or close calls without worrying they'll be blamed or ignored.
Yeah, psychological safety.
Exactly. And the article stressed feedback loops, letting people know their report was received, investigated, and here's what we did about it. Makes people feel like their input matters.
That sense of shared responsibility is huge. Okay, what about regular safety audits?
Think of those as like proactive checkups for the workplace, systematically looking for hidden dangers, things you might miss day to day.
Hunting for problems before they find you?
Pretty much. Checking processes, equipment, the whole environment to see if standards are being met or if conditions exist that could lead to a near miss or worse. They even mention software now to help track all that.
Makes sense. Streamlining the process. And finally, the reporting process itself needs to be easy, right?
Oh, absolutely critical. If it's a pain to report something, people just won't bother. The easier and more user-friendly the system, the more reports you'll get.
More data points.
Exactly. More data means better chances of spotting trends early, understanding the root causes. The article mentioned using analytics dashboards to crunch that near-miss data and figure out where to focus prevention efforts. It's about turning those close moments into actual useful information.
Okay, so that workplace focus gives us a really solid framework for identifying, reporting, learning. Now, let's switch gears a bit to that Listverse article, the top 10 averted tragedies. Much broader scope here.
Yeah, these are definitely less about, loose carpets and more about well, sometimes massive potential disasters. What really jumped out at you from these stories?
Just the sheer variety, honestly, and how incredibly thin the line can be between everything being fine and complete catastrophe. It really brings it home that near misses happen everywhere, not just at work, and sometimes the stakes are unbelievably high.
Yeah, like that first one, broken trust, the attempted kidnapping stopped by CCTV.
Yeah.
What's the lesson there?
Well, it shows how technology we kind of take for granted now can be this silent protector, right? Without that footage, the outcome could have been so much worse, or at least much harder to resolve. Surveillance as a preventative or at least a detection tool.
True. Then there's luck of the bounce people nearly hit by flying rocks from a demolition.
That one's unsettling because it highlights randomness. They thought they were safe, but nope. Sometimes avoiding harm just comes down to pure dumb luck. You can't control everything.
Makes you think. Okay, scarily familiar. The foiled terror plot similar to 9/11.
That one's pretty sobering, isn't it? Shows that huge threats are still out there, and it really underscores the vital work intelligence agencies do behind the scenes. Near misses on that scale are happening. We just don't always hear about them, but thank goodness someone is catching them.
Yeah, it definitely puts things in perspective. What about brotherly love? The toddler saving his twin from the falling dresser.
Oh, that one's amazing and terrifying all at once. It shows that instant protective instinct, even in a tiny kid. But also how dangerous ordinary things in our homes can be if we're not careful. Like, that incident probably got a lot of people to finally bolt their furniture to the wall.
Yeah, I bet it did.
Yeah.
That near miss had a direct preventative outcome for many, hopefully. Okay, the Moon and Khrushchev one is wild. A nuclear scare triggered by the moon.
Isn't that incredible? Nearly triggering World War III because of a weird reflection. It just screams about the limits of technology and how absolutely critical human judgment is, especially when the stakes involve, global annihilation. Thank goodness someone questioned the alert.
Seriously. Wow, okay, jolly lucky, the rally car crash where spectators barely escaped.
Pure chaos, that one. Shows how fast a safe spot can become the danger zone in dynamic situations.
Yeah.
Luck, quick reflexes, whatever it was, they were incredibly fortunate. Risk changes in an instant sometimes.
Yeah, you see those videos online. Terrifying. What about Dr. MacGyver fixing a medical emergency on a plane with, like, random stuff?
It's brilliant, isn't it? Human ingenuity under pressure. Limited resources, high stakes, but quick thinking and resourcefulness literally saved a life. Shows what people are capable of when they need to be.
Truly inspiring. Then there's the really dark one, the falling wife. Sabotaged parachute, but she survives.
Chilling. That highlights the fragility of life, obviously, but also that danger can come from places you'd never expect, from malice. Her survival was almost miraculous, a near miss against truly terrible odds.
Horrible. Okay, not your average car crash, the one that led to a house exploding.
That's a stark reminder of knock-on effects, isn't it? A routine car accident suddenly escalates into a massive explosion because of a hidden factor, the gas line. Shows how incidents can have unforeseen, cascading consequences.
Yeah, you never know what else might be affected. And the last one, the drowning bride. The wedding dress trend.
A really tragic, cautionary tale. Following a trend, taking photos in water without thinking about the physics of a heavy, waterlogged dress, it led to a near drowning and, sadly, a real fatality in another case. Just a reminder to think critically about risks, even in seemingly fun situations.
Wow. So yeah, these listeners' examples are all over the map, aren't they? Extreme, some terrifying, some just bizarre luck.
But they all circle back to that core idea, right? Every single one is an averted tragedy, a point where the path to disaster got interrupted, sometimes by a hair's breadth, sometimes by deliberate intervention.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's a wet floor or a potential nuclear war, the principle holds. These close calls, these near misses, they're packed with information about risks.
And ignoring them is like, I don't know, driving with your check engine light on and hoping for the best. It might be fine for a bit, but eventually.
Eventually, yes, something's likely to give. So bringing it all together, what's the main takeaway for people listening?
I think it's about fundamentally shifting how we see these moments. Don't just think, phew, got lucky there. Think, okay, why was that close? What hazard was present? There are learning opportunities.
Valuable signals. And that applies everywhere, right? Work, home, just out and about.
Totally. So for everyone listening, maybe start paying a bit more attention to those little moments. Recognize them, don't just dismiss them.
And where you can, do something about it. Report the hazard at work. Fix the wobbly step at home.
Exactly. Take that preventative step based on the warning you just got.
And it does make you wonder, doesn't it? How many potential dangers do we just navigate past every day without even noticing?
And how many systems, big and small, and just individual acts of care are constantly working to keep us safe? More often than we probably realize.
Maybe just being more aware of the near misses, the almosts, is one way we all help make things just a little bit safer for everyone. Food for thought.